I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts, you have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Stijn. First, a great way to show us some love is to check out my films Doors of Perception on Amazon Prime, Occult Louisiana on Tubi. Visit our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. It's the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. We feature some of your favorite podcasts and content creators. We are booking guests for January. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Today I want to welcome Stijn. He is a researcher of the occult and seeker of divine knowledge. He is the Jarl of the tribe Greyhorn Pagans and host of the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. Stijn, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good. It's been a long day, but I'm always excited to come on a show and talk about things that I find interesting and that I hope everyone else will too.
Definitely, man. Looking forward to getting into this. You wanted to discuss the state of spiritual and social confusion in our realm, some of the events that are adding fuel to the rise of what seems to be psychosis among those programmed by the psychological manipulation. Because of the extreme anti-human nature of some of these agendas, myself and many others look at the possibility that maybe there's a non-human hidden hand pulling strings in our reality. This is a big topic. Before we get into any of this is your first time on. Tell us a little bit about yourself and let the audience know how they can find out more.
Of course. I go by Stijn Fox on the internet. That name goes back to when I was this edgy 20-some-year-old wannabe activist. I am the host of the Greyhorn Pagans podcast, the leader of the tribe of the Greyhorn Pagans, and of course a Germanic pagan myself. I am a believer and follower of the old gods of Europe. It's also why I always wear the hammer of Thor around my neck. Other than that, in daily life, I work in security. I have 2 kids and a wife and a stepson, 2 cats, and just trying to survive this crazy world. You can best find me on YouTube under the name Stijn Fox, or look up the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. Instagram, Greyhorn Pagans. Just look up Stijn Fox or Greyhorn Pagans and you'll be sure to find me.
Right on. Tell us a little bit about your journey of awareness and how you began to navigate this realm as it relates to some of the parasitic agendas.
Yeah. My first real awakening was, I want to say, late teens, early 20s. I was never really raised religious. My parents have always given me a lot of freedom in that regard to find my own path, to find what works for me, what connects with me. I've been raised around religion, let's say, because both my grandparents from both mother's and father's side were Catholic, Roman Catholic. So, we did go to church every once in a while with my grandmother from mother's side, because she always lived closer to us. We did the Easter and Christmas thing. not necessarily because we were religious, but because we were doing it for grandma, and it was in the church where all the family came together. So we were doing it more for family than for faith. But I've always loved history. I've always loved stories. That's basically what the North European culture, of course, is built upon: stories and storytelling. Um, and have for the longest time felt like an outsider, and I didn't know why. So I started to look for answers, started to look for just any kind of answer of why I feel the way that I feel, why I see the things that I see that others, well, either don't see or refuse to acknowledge, calling it coincidence, or that I'm, looking too deep into it. While I know in my soul that, there is something there. And it was in my, I think my early 20s. I might have been 21, 22, when I really found out that the world is not ruled by the ones we were told it is ruled by, and that our history is much more complicated than than we are told, than how it is written in the history books, of course. And I actually fell into a deep depression because of that. I was really depressed. I was angry. I fell into a kind of nihilism, like, why would I do anything? Why would I try to build up anything if there is this hard cap, if you will, and you have to do certain things to go beyond that? Why would I, you know, even try to, get a job,
Right.
keep a job if, you know, um, and I mean, eventually later on, I did realize that nihilism is also not getting me anywhere. If anything, it is holding me back, because I was still, living together with my back then girlfriends, and we still, at the very least had rent to pay, bills to pay, groceries, and all the things. So I had to be somewhat of an adult, at least. So I try to find some answers in religion and spirituality, also because that is so integrated into how the world operates, both positive and
Mm.
negative, of course. Where there is dark, there is light. There is this duality. One cannot exist without the other. Um, and I tried the whole Christian thing, of course, because I mean, it's there, it's easy, it's accessible. It's not that I really like actually believed in God or something. I believed in a higher being, and I was trying to have it be God, because, as I said, it's accessible, it's easy. Um, but I couldn't fully surrender to it, because the one thing that stressed me out too much was the punishment side of it, the believe or else.
Hmm.
That really um, that put so much pressure on me to watch what I do, watch what I say, watch what I think, even, that I wasn't able to just live, because I was so preoccupied with that, really. Um, so I kind of reverted back to being agnostic It's like, oh yeah, I believe in a higher being. It's just I'm not giving it a name. I'm not giving it any kind of shape. Um, and that was until I saw the TV show, the history show Vikings, which is very Hollywood still. Um, but first of all, they talked about the gods of Europe, of course, so very close to home to me, and it was the honor culture. It was um the love for one another. It was the being able to take revenge in one way or another, like not turn the other cheek and just forgive them for what they've done. It's also a thing that I never really got into. It's like, but if you do wrong, then you should be punished for that, right? Like, um, so it's really that what spoke to me, and I was like, whatever this is, whatever it is that they are portraying, it's like this is it. This is it for
Mm.
me. And I started to, of course, go deeper into the history of Vikings, in history of the Norse pantheon, Germanic pantheon, all the European pantheons. And yeah, that really gave me the solid foundation that I needed in my life. And through researching and investigating the stories and the more occult, esoteric side of things as well, made me understand the world better, made me understand myself better, about who I am and why I feel the way that I feel, why I do the things that I do. Um, and from there, I have been on this journey of gaining knowledge, gathering wisdom, trying to apply that wisdom ever since. And that's been a good 13 years, 10, 13 years now. I'm currently 33. I think I had the real awakening at around 23. So it's been a good 10 years of, just research and going further, going deeper into everything, and noticing patterns, seeing patterns. And yeah, certain patterns have always or have very often repeated
Mm.
itself, or have taken on different forms. Social media has definitely made some of those patterns more
Yeah.
noticeable. And one of those patterns is what is described as spiritual psychosis, or a lot of people will confuse it with spiritual awakening,
Mm.
but they are most definitely two different things.
Let's dive deeper into that. What are some of your observations about the current state of society, especially those that are deeply programmed?
Um, I think a lot of us are in some kind of a psychotic
Mm.
state, and I don't mean just the upper echelons, the so-called elites. I mean that they are psychotic, narcissistic, whatever. That's pretty much a given. Otherwise, they wouldn't be where they are. You kind of have to be. Um, and it is because of these like very stressful times. Like nothing is for sure, and things change day by day. Like literally,
Yeah.
what was a truth yesterday can be a lie today. Um, it's 1984 wasn't supposed to be a manual, yet it
Right,
is.
right.
Um, And yeah, it is very often like we've seen it so often in history. I am a perfect example of it myself. We turn to religion or spirituality for like something to hold on to, for something to provide us with meaning. You know, if there is something higher than ourselves, then, you know, there has to be some sort of a greater plan, a grander plan as well, or some sort of a protector, even, because, you know, in that's, I guess that's what we're looking for, just this protector, this, I mean, you could say we all have some sort of a like spiritual daddy issues, if you
Yeah.
will. Um, and some people, I mean, they take it in all kinds of directions. There's a huge pagan revival going on. A lot of people turning back, or you know, finding the old gods again. A lot of the younger generation is also turning towards Christianity again. You know, like basically every sort of religion or spiritual path is really growing, but with that, there's a flip side to it as well,
Hmm.
which I mean, those people they see it as some sort of a spiritual awakening, but if you break it down, it's really a spiritual or religious psychosis, which is a thing of all ages, really. It's not even that modern. Like a very good example would be the French heroine Jeanne d'Arc, or Joan of Arc, as she is best known in the English speaking language. She was a peasant girl in the 15th century France. Like she wasn't special in any way, but she at least claimed to hear the voices of Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Margaret, who told her to lead the French army against the English. That may be, you know, a spiritual revelation. She, you know, she did die a hero, but also, you know, if you ask modern day psychologists, for example, they will say that, I mean, you know, she's hearing voices. There's got to be some, you know, psychological schizophrenic issues. Also, kind of goes into the what is called the bicameral mind. I believe that the notion that our ancestors, when they heard the gods talk to them, they actually heard the gods talk to them, or they heard something or someone talk to them. It wasn't just their imagination; they actually heard it. So it's a great discussion of like, is it mental illness? Are they, you know, are they schizophrenic? Are they, you know, just delusional, or is something actually happening? In some cases, people are in fact actually delusional, and because a spiritual awakening is supposed to make you feel part of a greater whole. It's supposed to uplift your spirits. It enables you to get a greater understanding of things. While with spiritual psychosis, you feel scattered, you feel torn apart, you feel like you have lost yourself, lost the answers that you thought you had. Often that turns into, well, at the very least, like severe alterations in, you know, perception, mood, behavior, even mystical beliefs. I mean, we've all, you know known or still that's someone who like believes that, some sort of a spirit or entity is talking to them, or they are in connection with a higher being, very
Mm,
often not from this planet. It's very often something ET
right, right.
like, and they will just go way too deep into it and make their whole life about that one thing that they have, that one experience
Mm,
that they had. Um, that is a clear form of spiritual
right.
psychosis, unfortunately. And very simply put, those people need help.
Well, let's break this down because this is very complex, but I definitely see where you're coming from. I left Christianity as a teenager because of similar reasons to you. The dogma, the fire and brimstone aspect, being damned to hell. But I look at where I'm at now and I came back around full circle, not to the establishment religious Christianity, the biblical dogmatic version. Basically, I simplified it to the followings of Jesus Christ because it is simple and it basically entails me being a good person without having to offer anything to any spiritual beings or sacrifice anything or having that being expect anything in return from me other than just being a good person. So that is where I'm at. And it's a very simple spiritual path, but it is a spiritual path nonetheless. And I could see how even simple things like that could lead to things that you're talking about, spiritual psychosis. But there are also many that question spirituality in general, as in, should we be relying on non human entities for information on how we should be living our lives? Shouldn't we have a foundation of knowledge of being a good person just because that's the way to be? But it seems that we rely on a lot of these spiritual intelligences to form our reality in a sense and guide us on so many things that we really don't need this outside information. We could be thriving as humanity because it does seem that a lot of the spiritual intelligences that people rely on end up leading them on paths of destruction, like you were just mentioning with Joan of
Yeah.
Arc. So it is a very complex situation. And I do see many people falling into these spiritual traps. So, where does that lead us with spirituality in general? Should we be outsourcing anything to the spiritual realm?
No, you should not be outsourcing any of your power,
Mm,
really. And if you are following a deity, entity, spirits, whatever you may call it, or it may call itself, if they are asking of you to do that in order to, gain favor or gain something, you should reconsider. You should really, think about what it is that you're doing, what it
Well, let
is
me
that you're
ask you, aren't
following.
the pagan gods considered spiritual deities in a sense that
They
require
are
some
considered
kind of
deities,
worship?
yes. They don't
Mm,
require it. It is uh, let's say, I consider myself to be a man of Thor, the protector of Midgard, the protector of mankind. That's where I wear the hammer. To be a man of Thor, for me, that's also the thing with European paganism. It's a very personal
mm-hmm,
practice. We don't have, set rules. We don't have, a book that tells us, this is how everything
mm-hmm.
should be. we have stories of our ancestors, we have stories of the gods, we have stories of heroes that tell us like, hey, this is how they did it. This is their reward. If you want to be like them, we suggest you follow a similar path, but geared towards yourself, to what you do, what you feel. But for me to be a man of Thor, he is the strongest of all the gods. He is a protector god. You have to at least somewhat embody that. So go to the gym, preferably train some sort of a martial art, be a good husband, be a good father, be a good son to your parents. The thing is, you don't have to be a man of Thor to be those things. But if you, like, on the other hand, if you want to be a man of Thor, you are not required, it's not a requirement, but are expected to be that. If you want to honor the gods, if you want to honor Thor, then these are the things that
So it's
are
more of embodying the
expected of you.
archetype as opposed to
Yeah,
making offerings, rituals, and sacrifice.
you can do that, um, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary to bring some sort of a sacrifice or make some sort of a sacrifice to appease the gods. I mean, self-sacrifice, yeah, but that is, if you want to better yourself, if you want to be a better man, better woman, better husband, better lover, better whatever, you're gonna have to sacrifice some parts of yourself that hold you back from that. So yeah, embodying the archetype is exactly what it is. And no, you don't need spirituality or religion to be able to do that, as you said, and I absolutely agree. It should be a given to just, be a good person. For some people, um, I guess, spirituality or religion gives them that boost to perhaps be it. And I mean, on the flip side, there are many religious people who are absolutely horrible people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So spirituality or religion does not make you a good person. It does not make you a bad person. It is what you do with it. It is how you treat it. It is how you embody it that makes it good or bad.
Now, in my introduction, I had mentioned how it's difficult to understand how any human could be responsible for the ideologies that are imposed on us. And you have to look at, is there some non human, some spiritual influence that is attempting to steer humanity in certain directions? Would you say that's the case, or is it just multi generational brainwashing at this point?
That is most certainly a large part of it too. But I do believe that there is a maliciousness that is something outside of ourselves, that is something non-tangible, that is, I don't want to say ruling this world, but definitely steering it in a way. A lot of people will call it names like Moloch or Baal or any of these Canaanite gods, really, because that's what in the upper echelons, that is what is worshipped. These gods who do, well, not even require, but demand sacrifice, you know, in exchange for power, for wealth, for whatever it is that you may wish for. And if it's not real, well, the people who worship those gods, those entities, they most definitely believe they are real and are acting accordingly.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that are unfolding behind the social agendas that are deeply connected to what we're discussing as well. You mentioned in your talking points the alien agenda. What do you see
Yeah.
behind this?
Trying to, well, first of all, disconnect us further from, human being, from being human. It's kind of the in connection to the whole star seeds, indigo children thing, believing that your soul comes from this different planet, this different cluster, and somehow it's always the
Wow.
Pleiadians, always the Pleiades, because they are believed to be this higher form of life, which is um, theosophical, actually. It's a very theosophical way of
Mm,
thinking, Rudolf Steiner, Madame Blavatsky, very
yep.
occult. And I think it's also control. If we're talking, Project Bluebeam, for example, it is um, creating fear, and through that fear, keeping control. It's very, um, and also so that the ruling powers can present themselves as the heroes of humanity, because we eventually managed to defeat the big bad
Mm,
aliens. Like the movie Independence Day, but real
right.
life. Like, wouldn't that be great for the powers that be, especially in these days, if we have a like a true common enemy which comes from outside, like truly
Mm.
outside, that we can, you know, that we may finally unite as people and fight against. Like, wouldn't that be
Right.
wonderful? So, yeah, there are multiple parts to it. It's disconnect from ourselves, and it is keeping control and pushing it to yeah, maybe a like indeed some sort of a one world order, one world society, and you're gonna need a common enemy for that.
What are your thoughts about our true cosmology? You mentioned the alien agenda, how it's basically attempting to get us to look towards the stars and different planets. Do you think that what we understand as space is something completely different?
I don't think we understand what space actually is. Um, I don't I don't know what it is. I can make, I have a whole lot of theories and speculations about what it could be, what it might be. I don't know what it is. I know for sure it is not just one big vacuum,
Mm,
because nothing can exist in a vacuum. Something has to be there, and whether that is, the dark matter that people keep talking about, or something else, I don't
mm,
know. I just know that whatever we are told space is not what it is. I do believe that um, we have, I don't want to say like our origins are from somewhere else, but if you look at the chemical composition of, us humans, of the human body, no, it's found nowhere else on our planet, not in the animal kingdom, not in the plant kingdom. We are comprised of, I mean, very simply put, space dust. Um, so yeah, I do believe that our life energy, our soul, our whatever name you want to give it, there are so many names for it. I do believe that it may have its origins somewhere else, but our home, our native planet, if you will, is Earth. We are Earthlings, but part of this greater whole.
What are your thoughts on what could really be represented by the Atlas comet when you try to find information about it? Even from mainstream scientific sources, it's jumbled. You can't find any tangible information. Social media is an absolute shit show. It's mostly AI and fakery. But I feel
Yeah.
the same way about what's beyond our atmosphere or the firmament or whatever you want to call it. Do you think this may be connected to the alien agenda, blue beam?
Three Eye Atlas. Oh boy, it's a good one. I I don't know. It is an anomaly for sure, and nothing, or at least since we started recording, um, what is happening beyond beyond our atmosphere, beyond our planet. Nothing has really ever come this close to us. Like it literally moved through our solar system, miraculously not hitting anything or getting trapped in, any kind of orbit. So that is pretty miraculous on its own. It is definitely having its effects. Like nothing outside of our solar system passes through without leaving any kind of a trace, with any kind of a lasting effect, temporary or permanently. My wife has told me our interests line up, but she does, research on other stuff as well, that solar flares have been increasing incredibly. I just talked to someone, like literally before I came on here, who said that at least he has heard that it has left some sort of a plasma trail, I believe. Um, Even, a little bit of speculation that it came through the asteroid belt, or what we believe is the asteroid belt. Um, we don't even know if it has hit anything that may be in that belt. And if it did, what the consequences are of it. So, what is Three Eye Atlas? I have no idea, but it is an anomaly, and its effects are something that we should keep an eye on, and it should be studied over the next few years.
Let's get to something else that's in your talking points, the return of Christ and some of the
Yeah,
psychosis that may be associated with that.
that's a lot, actually. A lot of people. I mean, that also kind of goes into the into hero worship, the hero syndrome, if you will. Always looking for an outside savior, because we have forgotten what it's like to be self-sufficient, to, save ourselves in time of need. Um, and I do believe that there is a return of, well, Christ
Mm.
consciousness, if you will, that higher consciousness. Um, it is expanding. It seems to be expanding among us. More and more people coming to some sort of conclusion, gaining or being awakened, if you will. The whole 2020 spiel was another huge awakening for a lot of people. It's basically the 9/11 of this generation, if you
Yeah.
will. Um, Also in magnitude, really. So I do believe in the return of a Christ consciousness, but what I know for sure is not going to happen is Christ in the flesh, or the literal spirit of Christ coming down from the heavens and wiping out all the baddies and saving us. It's a beautiful dream, but it's a pipe dream. It's not what is going to happen. It is a new wave of
Mm.
enlightenment, if you will. That is the return of Christ, or that's how I interpret it. That's how I see it.
There's also another very dangerous spiritual movement, but it's, of course, fueled by the ruling class, and that's Christian Zionism, which, if let play out, could lead to the destruction of our planet. But it does seem that there is a revealing of this ideology going on right now in a big way, almost a self destructive way, which makes me question if there's something else bigger going on with the Zionist movement right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think it's too hard to keep these things
Mm.
hidden nowadays. We are, in the age of information, and with the enlightenment waves of the last few years, and also just people really getting good at basic pattern recognition. Things are not being able to be hid anymore. Nothing, I think, like, true occult, like as in hidden, I don't think that will ever really
Mm.
happen again. And self-destructive, yeah, but that is with anything that is trying to, keep up the facade, keep up the charades, if they, you know they, or any group keeps telling the same lie, keeps trying to um keep on the mask that they have on, eventually they are going to break. And if you're going to tell a lie, you also better tell everyone the same lie.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. Like, you can't tell one group of people, oh, we're doing this, and then another group of people is like, oh, we're doing this. But I thought you were doing that. Like, why are you now saying that you're doing that? It's confusion. And if people are confused, they're gonna look for answers. And then they're gonna find out, oh, they're not what they seem. They're not what they portray themselves to be. So I think, you know, with that, and just the, like, nobody can keep anything hidden anymore, it's getting harder and harder to keep it up. Is there something more dangerous underneath it? I don't know, but something will take its place.
Mm. That is the big question right now, is what's next, because It does seem there's a level of self-destruction happening at very high levels. It may be, like you said, they can't keep it going any longer. But what I find very interesting is how we're navigating AI right now and how it reflects some of the nonsense, and it is bringing to light a lot of fakery that is being portrayed right now. I know for myself, I rarely look at social media anymore because everything is AI and fake, and you can no longer tell what is real or not. But I'm seeing that this is a trend. More people are checking out because they don't want to see AI for everything and be misled by the videos that they're watching, so they're not going to participate anymore. And I think this is helping with the destruction of that system.
I agree. I do use AI myself, but I use it as I believe it is intended to be used as a
Right.
tool. It's just it's helping me with, the quality of my podcast. It's helping me with the quality of my audio, with, the like thumbnails, like actually making interesting thumbnails, because I don't know how to work Photoshop. Uh, so I use it as a tool, but I'm not dependent on it. AI slop, AI videos, AI girlfriends. Um, yeah, things are getting pretty bad. But I think also, as with anything, any, new shiny toy, if you will, it all gets abused. You have to abuse it first before you really understand what the risks of it
Mm.
are. Um, and I do believe that it can help us. It can, free up a lot of time for us that we may use for things that will actually benefit us. I've even seen theories, at least, or speculations, I'm not too sure about that, that it could help in spiritual development, as in it could like do some of our day-to-day tasks, freeing up time for us to really, turn inwards, to really start doing our shadow work, understand ourselves, understand the bigger whole. So not like AI directly being involved, but more as in a tool that can free up time, that can take over the monotonous tasks, the soul crushing tasks that prevent us from really understanding and discovering our power. Then again, it is already used by the military industrial complex, I believe, in the Ukraine war, whether or not that's still going on or even still relevant. They have used AI drones, I believe, that were programmed to target certain vehicles, certain groups, certain facilities. But that's with everything. Once the military finds out it's a thing, they're going to weaponize it, and it's one of two things that or yeah, it's a thing that we've always
I
done.
don't ever have a problem with using AI for things that can make our lives better or that are good for humanity in general. The misuse of AI is my concern, using it for deceptive
Yeah.
purposes, using it to harm someone. Those are the things that I am heavily against, and I think that we really need to take a close look at the way we're using it, even if it's to make a silly video to post online, but you don't put a disclaimer that it's AI and it deceives people into believing something that is not true. It may not seem like it would have a big effect, but you don't know what that could lead to in that person's life. And with the state of psychosis that we were discussing earlier, it probably couldn't take much for some people to get in those rabbit holes, like we were saying earlier as well. So
Yeah.
it can be a dangerous thing, but it can also, like you said, be very beneficial if used in the right way.
We've also seen it with deep
Yes.
fakes already, making certain, well, X-rated
Right,
videos,
right.
and then, pasting someone's face over it. Like, how long is it going to be before that's used as blackmail? Go and prove that it's AI. Go and prove that it's a deep fake.
Right. Last few minutes we have, let's talk a little bit about how we should be navigating the realm as it stands. Things will most likely get even more crazy as time goes on. It seems the only way to make it to the other side of this is to go through it. We seem to be in a bit of a self-destructive phase when it comes to the systems that aren't working for us. How to get past that, how to rebuild is the question that a lot of people are asking right now. What are your thoughts on where we're at and how to navigate through it?
Stay off social media as much as possible.
Yep.
I know a lot of us are already there, or seek out some of the alternative platforms. There are very good alternative platforms, alternative social media. But there's of course a reason why they're not as big as some of the more well-known ones. Um, Always, or no, let me rephrase that. Don't just assume things to be true. So, very simply put, do your own research. It's a little too oversimplified, but stay vigilant. Just because even spiritual leaders tell you something is happening or will happen, as we've seen with the latest, well, Rapture incident, if you will. That was the end of September, I believe. So many people believed it. They fell for it because they wanted to believe it. So stay skeptic. I'd say always second guess, especially in these days, as you mentioned. Like, also AI is now getting really good at manufacturing certain things. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to your own values. Keep your circle small. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family, your loved ones, and yeah, just stay off social media as much as possible. Don't watch the news. Stop reading the newspapers online and like actually physical. When I stopped doing that, I started feeling a whole lot better because everything is just, I mean, it's all negativity. So that is going to affect you. And the best advice, hold on for dear life. We will get through it, but it is a dark time, but it's also in these dark times where light shines the brightest. So try and be that light.
Right on. Very well said. Before we close out, tell us a little bit about your work on the Grey Horn Pagans website.
On the the website, the podcast, the tribe, it's really one whole. I try to well, first of all, make people aware of the ways of our ancestors, because I do feel that a return to our ancestral ways could be very, very beneficial for us. I try to educate people on European paganism, European spirituality, because there are still a lot of misconceptions about it. And I do not shy away from more controversial topics or symbols such as the Black Sun, the swastika, the Othala rune. I would much rather educate people and actually use those symbols in their intended ways. So there will definitely be some things that people do not agree with, and that's fine with me. On the podcast, I really go into just all manner of religion, spirituality, spiritual paths, alternative health, because I want to explore it as much as possible, and I know that it is beneficial for a lot of people too. And with the tribe of the Guerrero Pagans, we really try to be this close knit community that helps each other, that lifts each other up, that is a place where you can be yourself, where you can learn, where you can even get some support if you're having a bad day. Many of us, if we're having a bad day, we'll just send a message into the group and be like, "Hey guys, I'm having a bit of a rough day. Can I get some vibes? Can I get a bit of support? I need a little pick me up." So that's also what we're really trying to do with the tribe. Be a very open and open-minded community, and you don't have to be pagan or spiritual or anything to be part of it. Just, I mean, kind of going back to the beginning, just be good.
Right on, man. I love it. Stijn, thank you so much. I'd love to talk again in the future. And until next time, everyone, have a wonderful evening. We will talk again tomorrow. We'll see y'all then. Are you and your family prepared for an emergency? Maybe the fake alien invasion? Now is the time to prepare yourself and your family for any event. Check out Prep Starts Now. Their mission is to provide high-quality preparedness products that empower individuals and families to be ready for any situation. They're committed to delivering reliable, trusted gear to ensure your safety, security, and peace of mind in times of need. Their product selection is carefully curated to provide you with the essential gear you need to stay prepared. From emergency kits to tactical tools, every item is chosen for its reliability and practicality. Prep Starts Now understands the importance of family, and their goal is to equip you with everything you need to build a solid plan for your family's preparedness. In today's ever-changing world, being prepared is more important than ever, and Prep Starts Now is here to help you and your family stay ready with quality products and practical guidance. Use the link in the description and get 15% off your order. Hello friends, I am so excited to tell you about Independent Media Token. Independent Media Token is a brand new way to show your support for independent media without having to donate a dime. Independent Media Token is a cryptocurrency on the Solana blockchain designed to generate funds to promote and foster the growth of independent content creators, allowing them to engage in their art without having to worry about being demonetized. Through a network of media partners, of which you yourself can become a part of, Independent Media Token's goal is to ensure the powers that be can never cut off all of our areas of funding and censor the only free voices left in the world. Join the movement today. You can pick up Independent Media Token using Phantom Wallet or the Solana wallet of your choice, where you can easily swap your Solana for IMT. Grab some IMT today and remember to always know your team. To learn more, visit independentmediatoken.com or use the link right in the description. Hello, friends. If you're looking to start your therapeutic microdosing journey, but don't know where to start, especially when looking for the highest quality ingredients, including nootropics, and what you'd expect from a true microdose capsule, check out our friends at Brainsupreme. They offer the absolute highest quality ingredients so you can start your microdosing journey knowing that you're getting top-notch ingredients. To find out more, visit their website using that link right in the description, and you can get 15% off your entire order.